Good day, sir. This is Group 8 reporting about self-management. Self-management. Self-management is a technique that we practically use in every day and in any way. A technique that is no less carrying the self in a comfortable manner and in distinct details. The way we carry ourselves in a way despite social evaluation while learning to accept and reject judgment and criticism is an option. A fallacy or error is a judgment behind our righteous control. In effect, you decided to stay away from your friends for a while and have your medication for 6 months, but one of your friends called you paranoid and antisocial. The 4 windows are called option in life and design that self-understanding matter over self-management. Around us, the people that see who we are, appreciates what we have accomplished, recognize our achievements, and comment to our failures. But they are the reason who can change our lives in generally and perception in particular. They improve our views, challenges us to withstand against all odds, make us creative and proactive, help accept and desires we have not reached, and most particularly help us satisfy our reveries to make it all a reality. Remember what Pope Francis 2015 said, "Learn how to weep. Sometimes we made mistakes that we didn't expect, but all of these mistakes will guide us to a good and right decisions." Example is when the host of the pageant, host Steve Harvey, during the Miss Universe of 2015, he was mistaken to call up if who's the Miss Universe between Colombia and the Philippines. He called Colombia as Miss Universe instead of Philippines. But he just apologized because the Philippines is the true Miss Universe. But he take the responsibility for his mistakes. What Harvey was doing was a rare act of humility. He was a brave and honest man, but a part of that, an apology is never real apology when it is not coming from the heart. It could become self-assault if it is just like popcorns popping in your mouth without appropriate action. Success is found in the grounds of humility. Humility then well constitute on empowering well to associate positively more with people despite self-knowledge that he or she can outdo any extraordinary behaviors or endeavors. But considering what peacefully works get over and one's wisdom to perform simple yet rewarding things. Self-mastery describes self-awareness, that capsulized idea on self-endowments after all. In addition to self-awareness, imagination, and conscience, it is the 4th human endowment, independent will, that really makes effective self-management possible. It is the ability to make decisions and choices and to act in accordance with them. Make decisions and choices and to act in accordance with them. It is the ability to act rather than to be acted upon, to proactively carry out the program we have developed through the other 3 endowments. Empowerment comes from learning how to use this great endowment in the decision we make every day. By Stephen Covey. A beautiful book on self-transformation authored by Chin Jr. 2000. Introduced a heart-warming guide to further self-understanding, self-acceptance, and propose open-minded realization. It factually explained that it is not self-actualization alone that blinds us all for a higher cause towards a joyful life. It is alone that one needs, but to facilitate the same spiritual feedback to others and bridges to the greatness of wisdom. Self-empowerment is like an asset to subscribe to the following. 1. Being able to ethically speak what someone believes, what is right, socially acceptable, and is nationally helping. 2. If someone go beyond to his or her limits and ignore them by doing what makes him or her passionate about learning, upgrading, and updating his or her skill and talents, that is articulate to the technological advancement. And third, the belief that continued deep respect to family, good motivation from friends, strong faith in God is among essential factors in pursuing dreams.
Educating self. According to Jerry Weinstein at the University of Massachusetts, education of self, as it is affectionately called, is a college-level course in personal growth based on a psychological theory and designed to promote introspection, self-analysis, consideration of alternatives, risk-taking, behavior, and cognitive integration. Moreover, in accordance with the Career Counseling Manual of 2008, as crafted by the Philippine Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, in partnership with the University of the Philippines, or UP Diliman, mentioned by Marcia to 1967 and 1980 and 1991, describe the college students in terms of your identity, statuses, and the first clause of student, the identity, diffuse student, the moratorium of student, the moratorium student, and the achieved identity student.
For identity, statuses of James Marcia, 1967, 1980, and 1991, as cited by CHED, 2008, page 46, are the following.
Foreclosed students are closed off from self-exploration and limits their contacts and challenges. Identity diffused students have 10 commitments of the future and the less nature of man achieved. Identity and moratorium students. Moratorium students described by Erickson as delaying commitments are able to effectively use the college experience in coming to terms with their quest for identity. Achieve identity students have successfully resolved ego identity as evidenced by firmer commitments to future goals, achievement, and identity for adolescents. The findings of Waterman 1982 and 76 to 77, page 82, were cited in Foreman's book 1990, which mentioned them under James Marcia. For identity status, it was stated that students who have weathered the crisis and who achieve an identity have come to their own conclusions and feel good about themselves. Their self-esteem is impervious to criticisms. Unpacking human personality. Unpacking human personality is an idea of Murphy's 1976 as quoted the problem if know how to unpack the human personality. Some have divided into a lower nature and a higher, or between one's worst self and his or her better self. Paul spoke of the old man and the new man, Ephesians 4:24 AV. In his Republic, Plato divided human nature into the three elements: the national, the spirited, and the appetitive. Added by Murphy, 1976, the point is not to attempt to find the correct categories, for all of them may be correct from certain perspectives. The point is to define categories that are functional in practical life and understandable to an ordinary person.
So, where to get help during college challenges? Whether you are a first-year student or someone who is close to graduating, college comes with a unique set of challenges that must be managed responsibly in order to have a successful and enjoyable experience. Self-management during college is not easy task and takes commitment, determination, and willingness to recognize areas of needed improvements. So now, I will discuss how to go about the process of personal growth during college. There are resources in the Philippines you may try to contact if you feel helpless and depressed while at school and away from family. There are class advisor, disciplinary office, school registrar, college dean, guidance counselor, psychometrician, psychologist, and psychiatrist. So class advisor, if your school has a class advisor and your problem is considered petty, the class advisor can just be your immediate guide. Disciplinary office, this office usually called Office of Student Affairs, or the equivalent is the one that implements policies, rules, and regulations. The head here is also the one that gives due signal to expel after a grievance committee investigate the student's case, and can punish student to give community services once had infraction committed. School registrar, concerned with grades, grading sheets, wrong grade entries to your transcript or records or TOR, dropping with withdrawal of subjects and other forms of transaction bearing the same degree is the forte and responsibility of the registrar. College dean, when you have a problem with your teachers and the curriculum, the dean can be helped to shed light to academic or teachers' student concerns. And sometimes, due to proper protocol, the deans leave the job to the guidance counselor or to the class advisors in most cases. Guidance counselor, when your problem is highly emotional that needs a professional help, you better go to the guidance office and discuss to the counselor whatever you want to share. No detail of your problem is nonsense for a counselor. Every tidbit of your life's issue are better heard loud and clear while he or she listens carefully. The guidance office is not a disciplinary office, unlike student affair office. Psychometrician, a school personnel who can help you out in knowing your attitude or intelligence. He or she can administer and interpret tests. Psychologist, if you want another expert who would assess and examine your inner conflicts, hang-ups, mental skepticism, and unwind your past, a licensed psychologist would enormously interpret and show you options to consider. He or she can be a psychometrician to you who can administer tests, interpret them, and process your emotions. However, he or she cannot prescribe synthetic medicine. Psychiatrist, if you have a different feeling more than what your peers had been experiencing, like grave insomnia that requires synthetic medicine, a psychiatrist can be a big help, for they can release prescription towards the pharmacy. A psychiatrist can be located in most community hospital, in both public and private. If you go to a psychiatrist, it does not mean that you are insane. It only means that you have a challenging concerns that needs to the same expert. Organizational behavior. In a workplace, the most in-demand personality attribute of a person is more on psychological facet, rather than regarding the extrinsic feature with charisma and attraction. According to Gordon Alpert, personality is the dynamic organization within the individual of those psychophysical systems that determine his unique adjustment to his environment. Personality model in the workplace. According to Robbins and Judge 2009, the workplace needs an effective personality model that will help strengthen the workforce, such as extraversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, emotional persistence, and openness to experience. Extraversion. Extroversion is a personality type tend to be social, persuasive, and flexible on dealing others in the workplace. Agreeableness is a personality who is trusting to a colleague's belief and opinion, especially that it will serve for the common good. An agreeable individual is also supportive and participative to group activities and involved in teamwork. Conscientiousness is an individual who is highly conscious, can handle bigger responsibilities than those who are not conscious. The individual is also reliable and good at organizing things. Emotional persistent is a type of a personality who can withstand to any company conflicts and can go in between and has the ability to settle disputes in both parties. A type who is calm and resilient to any problems and dependable on dealing people in a peaceful way. Openness to experience. This is personality type who can share better and substantial ideas for the improvement of relationship and services. This personality is creative and can pleasingly relay activities of group works with joy and passion. Religious values. Faith matters during adolescence years. Parents are motivating agents on Sabbath day, depending whether that denomination for Sabbath. Most teenagers are led to the church and hear a mass or pastor sermon. Families or parents' form of support. Provide financial funding. Sending someone to college is tedious. A parent should have a salary higher than a minimum wage, so to support a boarding house fee, transportation allowance, tuition fee, food and clothing, personal necessities. Additional to that are the mobile phones loads and that speeds up students' transaction in school and quickly transport connection with parents. Spiritual guidance. Parents stands as spiritual advisor at home. Most parents accompany their children to church masses on Sabbath or even during the weekdays as a sign reverence, training, and religious hearing. Moral support. Parents to give basic relationship between and among their children. Once adolescents, example, fail in the examinations or otherwise be little themselves as a knockdown and counterpart in the family. Some family members become a core group that strengthen and give sufficient encouragement to extend support. Show options in solution making. It's said by cognitive experts that the frontal lobe of the adolescent's brain are not yet fully developed. Genuine love and attention. There is a biological connection between an adolescent and parents. Parents are contributors to the XX and XY chromosomes are quiet, a distinct factor that this recessive or dominant genes multiply its traits and characteristics biologically. So that's all for our report. We are Group 8 reporting self-management in understanding the self.